Across the summer, we've brought you the story of these ships, the Aquarius, the Mission Lifeline, Open Arms, Sea-Watch, just some of the NGO search and rescue vessels that found themselves at the centre of a European political storm this summer. A storm which really did divide Europe, threatening to tear it apart. Italian Interior Minister Matteo Salvini unilaterally declaring on the 10th of June that Italy would be accepting no more NGO rescue ships. That left the Aquarius stuck at sea for roughly a week. Annalise was on board that vessel and brought you live coverage. This, a political storm that really exposed the fault lines running right the way through the European Union. Well, now new research looking at the impact of this shift in European policy has given some insight into exactly what the impact was. Let's just bring you up some of these findings from this Oxford University paper. First of all, as I was saying, there's this period where NGO search and rescue ships were effectively unable to operate. That's because of the clampdown by the Italian authorities, the Maltese authorities, etc. Now, just have a look at this. These are the figures of the number of drownings in the Mediterranean. You can see here in April, roughly 20 reported dead and missing, 11 dead and missing in May. But look at this. This is June when that shift in policy took place. And there is now a sharp rise to 451 deaths reported for June. So here the researchers are suggesting that the shift in European policy, by Matteo Salvini leading the way, led to a sharp rise in the number of drownings. Now, another backbone of Matteo Salvini's policy was to shift the emphasis for search and rescue off charity NGO vessels and onto the recently formed Libyan Coast Guard. In a headline-grabbing visit, which Matteo Salvini tweeted all the way through, he went to Tripoli and met with authorities there, pledging Italian support, ships, financial and political support to the authorities there if the Libyan Coast Guard led the way in search and rescue. Libya actually had a new search and rescue zone created. Now, at this same time, NGO ships were effectively being barred from joining in the rescues. Well, now these researchers at Oxford University have put together the impact of what exactly this meant. And this is a map they've shown here, showing you the shipwrecks that took place between the 19th of June and the 31st of July. You can see this is Libya here, and this is a period when this zone was effectively left entirely to the Libyan Coast Guard. They're pointing out here a number of these deadly shipwrecks with a lot of people here losing their lives took place within 50 nautical miles of Libya. The suggestion here, the Libyan Coast Guard cannot deal with this problem alone. And the conclusion of the report is Europe's priority has been reducing migration regardless of the human cost. Well, that's a very strong claim. Let's speak now to one of the report co-authors, Matteo Villa, who's joining us from Milan. Matteo, just very quickly to get your thoughts on this. Regardless of the human cost, how did you reach that conclusion?
Well, as you showed, in the last year arrivals to Europe and Italy in particular had declined considerably, but at the same time deaths at sea had declined. And this was an important achievement by the previous strategy. While over the last months, arrivals have dropped even more, but deaths have spiked. So we should think about the cost opportunity of doing so, and this is what we were considering at first. And second, let's always remember that unless conditions in Libya improve dramatically, lower arrivals to Europe will mean more migrants being stuck in Libya unless we find a solution to that.
So, yeah, in terms of that being stuck in Libya, the recent instability approaching Tripoli, the fighting, I mean, what does this mean for Europe's long-term strategy of relying on the Libyans?
Well, relying on the Libyans, I mean, looking at Libya as a united country may be a bit of a stretch, but and the instability in Tripoli shows it. One thing is for sure, some militias have proven very reliable in limiting migrant departures, and the Libyan Coast Guard continues to bring back migrants. But we should always bear in mind that if you ask for help, those helping you can try to extract favors in order to keep helping you. And this is exactly the risk that Italy and the European Union are running right now.
Matteo Villa, thank you very much for joining us there from Milan. Now, we've reached out to Matteo Salvini's Interior Ministry. We've reached out several times to the Maltese authorities, up on the phone, on emails, and yet had no response at all. We will bring you the response, but ahead of Jean-Claude Juncker's final State of the Union, Annalise, you can see this is a very damning assessment of Europe's handling of this crisis.